Greetings to each of you at Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital. I am Reece, pastor of the First Baptist Church in Elkin, bringing you this word of encouragement today. Just a few weeks ago, COVID-19 came rushing into our lives like a hurricane. It altered our routines, flooded our television screens, overwhelmed our social media feeds, closed the doors on our places of worship, scattered us to gatherings of no more than 10, and sat us all 6 feet away from one another. And as of this recording, it has infected 239,279 Americans and taken over 5,000 precious American lives. And we look to each of you who have received the calling on your lives to defy social distancing and care for the sick, the hurting, and the dying. I was speaking to a nurse friend recently, and as she described a particular crisis on her floor, not releasing any personal details, of course, I was just amazed at how she had to adapt, shift, and even improvise in caring for this particular patient. I said, "Wow, what an amazing story. You should write all of this up." And she sort of rolled her eyes at me and she said, "Mark, this is what I do every single day." Those of us who don't live in your scrubs are coming to realize that adapting to new normals and serving daily despite the risk are what you all do every single day. You may have heard the story about Italian violinist Paganini, who was playing a violin before a large audience. When one string of his violin snapped, he still continued to play, most beautifully. Then a couple more strings broke, and he completed the piece with just one string. After he finished, the violinist shouted out at the audience, "Paganini, one string." They all erupted into applause, and he proceeded to play an encore with just one string. I am learning these days that you folks are resilient. You are courageous. You are prepared. You are equipped. And you are relentless. You tackle what every day offers with courage, and you put your training to work. You save lives. You bless lives. You change lives. But I also know that you're a human. And as we face the possibility of rising cases in our community hospitals and all of the unknowns that come with it, you all wear so many hats. You go to the hospital to care for patients and serve in the offices, and you go back home to families, your spouses and your children or your grandchildren. Some of you are expectant mothers, or you have high-risk parents who also demand your care. I think when we consider the totality of your lives and the many hats that you wear, your courage becomes even more evident to us. I don't know the author of this great affirmation, but I believe these words are true of you. If God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it. If God had a wallet, your photo would be in it. God sends you flowers every spring and a sunrise every morning. God didn't promise days without pain, laughter without sorrow, or sun without rain, but God did promise strength for the day, comfort for the tears, and light for the way. If God brings you to it, then as the old saying goes, God will bring you through it. You are not alone in this fight against COVID-19. The God who called you into public service is a God who walks the halls with you, who goes home with you at night, and who brings you back to work each day. As we all enter Holy Week and yearn for Easter, which helps us see through the darkness of our times, let us take to heart the words of Dr. Maya Angelou, who once said that every storm eventually runs out of rain. As I cling to that hope, I do so with gratitude for those of you who serve the rest of us in the storm. I want to leave you with a benediction from Reverend William Sloane Coffin that I think is fitting for these challenging days. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God give you grace not to sell yourselves short, grace to risk something big for something good, grace to remember that the world is now too dangerous for anything but truth and too small for anything but love. May God take your minds and think through them. May God take your lips and speak through them. May God take your hands and work through them. And may God take your hearts and set them on fire for this beautiful work that you have been called to do. Take that with you this week until I see you again. Amen.